Greetings, boys and girls of the internet world. 'Tis I, David. Yes, the only David. I'm here to talk about a new composition that I've been writing for about a couple years now. Whoa. And it's entitled Christiana's Pokadoted Hairbow. A twisted little ballet about a girl named Christiana and her polka-dotted hairbow. Now, before I get into this, I wrote a little intro that would be said before the actual performance, if this would ever get a performance, which it probably won't. For many reasons, which is all covered in here as well, which I will now read for you fine people today. It says here, and I quote, "My name is David. This is my very first orchestral composition that I have ever put together. Now, as I am writing this, I don't expect this to ever be heard, since I mainly don't have any money to be able to pay the musicians to play this ridiculous music. But it sounded like a cool idea to cross off my bucket list, so I thought, why not? But I would have to make it interesting enough for the audience in the present day time to be able to stand what I wrote. So, I came up with a story about a girl that I used to know, named Christiana. She had an assortment of hairbows that she collected and wore every single day. But there was one that she strictly wore on Halloween, because when the Halloween moonlight hit her bow, it possessed her brain and it changed her into a cannibal. Specifically, to the male sex. She would lure them into her house for promises of trick and treats, though her trick would be the most perfect treat. As the music goes on, you can imagine this horrific event in your head, or if I have enough funds, I'll be able to make it a full-on ballet, but one step at a time. So please sit back and relax as you become enticed or bored with Christiana's polka-dotted hairbow. So this starts off with quiet string and piano background, with the strings divided into many parts to kind of basically give some sort of tension as I read the little intro pamphlet that I had just read. And as I would read it, the events would seem more dramatic as the music gets a little bit louder and the percussion becomes more distinct, and it gives off this creepy horror movie film kind of a feeling. And we have all this stuff going off at once to show how dramatic it possibly could be, but it doesn't. As you can clearly see, because you have to understand now, this lady was quite beautiful, and she lured these men with her beautiful song, because hey, I don't know about you, but I like a nice little tune. However, if there were such a melody in here, she were to sing it to her luring victim. And of course, it would work 100% of the time, every time. Let us look at this here, because this did take a good minute to fit right out. Actually, if anybody is wondering, this took about 3 weeks of about 14-hour days. It doesn't look like it would be, but trust me, it is, and I don't even want to get into it. But it's paid off, because hopefully this will become a ballet, and it'll become some sort of extra extra kind of and piece of entertainment that you wouldn't see anywhere else in the world. So she was singing this beautiful melody. And of course, like I mentioned, it always worked because, you know. But there is a point where even sometimes the urges would drive anyone crazy. So what she's got to do, she's got to bottle it, she's got to cap it, wait for Halloween, because obviously it was right around the corner. And that's all we want. We just want it to be Halloween right now. I do. As we mentioned before, that Halloween is now approaching, which, as I now speak into this storyline, it is now officially Halloween, and trick-or-treating is now trick-or-treating into the world. So, of course, she just waits for the perfect victim. As the kind of quiet percussions kind of leave this eerie tension of what's going to happen next. Leading the audience to ask, what is going to happen next? Oh, I will tell you exactly what happens, ladies and gentlemen. She finally finds herself a victim. Now, this part actually, if I am to get away from the story from a little bit, this part would be some sort of synchronized hand motion to the orchestra and the ballet lady at the same time. Whereas the whole band here would be playing sort of this ugly kind of chord, this really quiet kind of a thing, but as the conductor would wave his hands to whichever side of the room band members are in, the band, by the command of his floating hand, would be able to sift through whichever note patterns they decide. So an example would be depending whichever. This is a horrible example. No one wants to see me sing. So just sort of just give off sort of attention for what will happen next. The Battle of the Woodwinds prepare us for the feast that will come from her killing. And as you can see here, we leave no shortage of ugliness because, well, I guess depending who you ask, a killing would be some sort of horrendous sight or a joyous occasion. I'm not here to judge. You know, I'm just here to provide entertainment. And as you see here, I wrote a crappy string quintet. Quartet. Quintet. Quintet is 5, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Anywho, this would properly describe this particular dance that this woman would have together as the man victim is lying on the floor bleeding, helpless, with nothing to stop her. But that's what we don't. That's what we want. That's a good show now. Hello, I'm David. And right when the moment builds up, it silences. So the only thing you hear is just this female panting with pure desire. She can't take it anymore. As you can clearly see that it is written in the score that she has to pant out of pure desire and frustration. Yes. Now, the fun part can actually begin. Woo. And it starts off quiet. Because, of course, you can't just come out of the blue and just start attacking. You gotta make a day out of it. Finally, it gets louder and louder to a point where she finally has him down. And it gets way too loud and everything starts getting crazy. But this is only the beginning, you know. It's only the beginning of the end. With some nice little percussion beats kind of building up to what will be, to finally the whole massacre and the whole murder scene. Oh, it goes off between the patterns of 7/16, 5/8, 7/16, 6/16, back to 7/16, then 10/16 to a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. just when you think there hasn't been enough, oh, everybody dies. Ah. And of course, she gets away another year with a satisfying kill and a feast for her and only for her. Now, wasn't that the most exciting thing you've seen in quite a while? Now, whether you guys enjoy that or not, I'm not quite sure. This is the boring part where I get to talk about how I got to make it and what it actually sounds like. For those people who are not that convinced, this was written a couple years in the making. I actually have some of the original sketches of just, frankly, just embarrassing attempts at what would this eventually become. But you got to start somewhere, And eventually, this is not even the first format it came in. This is the first time it was written on this kind of paper, and let me tell you, it's quite a learning curve, but I'm very happy I took those hard laboring hours to put this thing together. I have a few other scores as well, but this is probably my favorite one out of all of them. It's about the final version, final orchestration, I guess, took 3 weeks, about 14-hour days. I mentioned that already, but just to emphasize on the kind of time that it actually takes to take these kinds of drawings into consideration, especially since they're going like at 40 seconds per thing, But it's fun, Maybe for me it's fun. I don't know. Anyways, just thought it would be something cool to make to Christiana's Pokadoted Hairbow. Oh. Hopefully, as time goes on, we'll be able to actually see it if there's anybody even interested in seeing it. We will see what goes on. Till then, it's just gonna remain in my catalog of scores that no one has any idea about. And thanks for sticking with me this far. If you have, we'll see what goes on. Enjoy the rest of your day.